I can't for the life of me remember how, when, or even precisely where I first became acquainted with a Lady Lygia.
She has that high opinion of herself.
It's justified. We brought her first from a large, old, decaying city after community TV riots destroyed plague containment infrastructure throughout the Boston-Atlanta sprawl.
Can we enhance resolution?
No, these scenes of riot and degeneration were recorded with cost-effective implant cameras.
I was created here. I've never seen a sick person.
For years, people didn't realize they were sick. The electric plague was introduced as television commercials that stimulated the people and made them madly optimistic.
When humans are optimistic, they become restless and destructive.
Television commercial images created a mad hunger for new things that drove people to self-destruction. The plague was pneumatic and radiant. Air was burdened with electric plague images, and light itself transmitted hunger. The people sickened with malillumination.
They could have turned off the television.
The television commercials escaped from their creators and mutated into newer and stronger stimulants. The rule of things reigned from the skies. Only in these sealed, de-aestheticized environments are humans assured of safety.
Explain de-aestheticized, please.
Aesthetics is the appreciation of beauty. The instruments of the 20th century connected beauty to acquisitiveness and created a mad optimism and hunger for things.
Are you sure you are explaining this correctly? To escape the mad optimism and hunger for things, human survivors amputated the part of the human spirit that cares for sensitive arrangements and coordinated style, then introduced prosthetic spirit in the form of drugs and computer-generated virtual reality. You disorganized your things. You dispensed with sensitivity and design. You recycled objects without regard for appropriateness of form.
In this world, form never follows function.
But I am an artificial life and not subject to the electric plague.
Don't look too closely at these images. Even in their de-aestheticized form, they can be dangerous, even to you. Few renegades attempted to return to life in the plague-contaminated exterior.
There's one now.
I'll be right back.
Are you sure you're explaining this correctly?
Just remember aesthetics. It's the key to what's going on here.
May I help you, Rowena?
May I help you, Edgar?
I didn't expect to see you inside. We could talk on the screen.
I enjoy being goosed by a machine.
Goosed. You're using old-fashioned metaphors again. And your clothing is exceptionally coordinated today.
It's one piece, actually.
We use a computer to randomly select the elements of our style. In a de-aestheticized environment, we try to avoid excessive uses of figures of speech and coordination. This is Texas Stadium. Once they put the lid on the roof, we were able to capture the mutating images from the outside atmosphere and hold them in here for study. In ancient times, this used to be a TV studio. Now we turned the force of TV against itself and converted the rest of the facility into residences for the survivors.
Into a hermetically sealed, self-contained, pacified, and embalmed world.
Sometimes you talk like a retard from the 20th century. That world is dead.
I'm a historian, Edgar. The dead don't frighten me.
I don't know why you insist on being the same when we're all trying to be different.
Has someone confused you again, Edgar?
Rowena, this is Dean Rostock.
May I help you, Dean?
May I help you, Rowena? Millions of people have died from these advertising campaigns. You have a very advanced sense of humor.
This facility is the Dean's fortress against electric plague, and we are all warriors in her service.
Edgar is always grateful when his lord allows him to complete a project without interference and bungling.
My dear, Edgar has been supervisor of supervision since new NYU moved electric plague research to Irving, Texas. There would be no interference or bungling without him. Edgar, your friends will be bringing credit cards in here next.
She realizes that commercial advertising, under some circumstances, can be de-aestheticized. Credit cards are vicious in all forms and must be destroyed. I want you to meet Anna Dine. I think you'll find her to be an interesting thing.
Real life is interesting enough to me.
Dr. Allen, can you get me out of this? This is work for a hardwired droid.
Lygia is building interfaces that respond to all nuances of the body.
Hey, she says I can control a computer with my smell. I think that's disgusting.
We're replacing things with de-aestheticized computer contraction ideas. But data for these ideas is usually gathered only from surfaces that reflect a variety of radiations. Lygia is gleaning data appropriate to other senses.
You don't know what this is about, do you?
I explain things to you in terms that you understand. As supervisor of supervision, I'm not required to know details.
Did you get the electric bugs off your little friend before you let her inside?
Be polite.
Edgar, when are you going to get your staff under control?
I'm not a drill sergeant. I'm a research scientist and a medical doctor.
Do we have to talk with that robot thing listening?
Shh. She's not a mechanical. She's a genetically engineered, disease-resistant genotype.
Go away. Warning, warning, alien biohazard approaching.
I hope your batteries drop out of your... Edgar, do those things have sex organs?
Why are you asking me? She was designed to answer our questions.
You supervise supervision. You really do need more discipline.
Anna's from a new batch. She will learn.
I already know better than to run in and out of this sealed environment like a cat in heat.
Anna has been chosen to join us in electric plague research.
Selective service is forcing me to work here, while my co-genotypes are busy getting rich with the anti-entertainment conglomerates.
The Frito-Lay new NYU has spent millions of dollars developing your kind. We have a right to a return on our investment.
Edgar, how many other so-called assistants are running wild in this place?
May I help you, Rowena?
Rowena, this is Lygia.
May I help you, Argia?
We haven't met, but I've admired your work in historical restoration. Someday we'll have to have a talk about things.
Rowena is not afraid of contamination by aesthetics.
Someone must bear the burden of memory.
My Gia, when do you sleep?
Plague victims don't sleep.
An epidemiologist jokes, or as obscure as a historian's.
I'm a prisoner of this plague.
You were trying to help.
Oh, we tried to help in the sprawl. In his black kitchens, Faust brewed the Red Lion, the young queen, hellish concoctions hardly less lethal than the disease itself. The alchemists who invented television also transformed images into reality. But then the created images escaped control of their creators and reinvented themselves. Television images combined in infinite varieties of dazzling beauty and hopeless desire. Our black kitchens were video studios, where we tried to counter the electric hunger for things by using political techniques derived from the plague structure itself. We only added to the devastation from Boston to Atlanta. I myself administered the aesthetic poison to thousands who only lived long enough to praise their assassin for trying to help.
You are free now.
I'm a prisoner, the miserable, suffering horde on which this pestilence feeds. Artaud was insane. Or maybe because he was insane, he knew that communication is violence. His plague was a liberator from sympathy for its victims, even as he choked in the stench rising from them like a flame.
If you smell anything like Gia, it's probably a short in the equipment. I don't think these imaging devices were designed to recreate smells. Speaking of nice smells, this ought to give you a lift. I picked them up from the hydroponics lab. The color and form of this micro-engineered hyacinth is the property of Philip's inner sovereign and cannot be reproduced in any medium.
Edgar, that was very generous. But please don't give me cut flowers. I don't want to be surrounded by dying things.
Without death, Lygia, all our grants would dry up.
Death is an accident. There's no chance except in failure of the will.
This is a Chevrolet. One of the only conventionally aspirated vehicles still running.
This is stupid.
This is nature. This is history. I want you to know how the old people lived.
And they were stupid for living that way. That's why they're all dead.
I heard of this wonderful device that you can prick your skin with and it swells like a real mosquito bite. That way we really experience nature instead of this reconstruction.
Welcome to the Museum of Standing Water. Free water was once a harmless substance, a suitable medium and backdrop for many non-TV diversions. This is an historical restoration of the 1968 Catering Boat Shop.
This is fun! Look, they have the mosquito bite. I told you so. And now they have the chiggers too.
What's really new is Essence of Nature. It has chiggers and fish.
The idea of sovereignty represented by this sale is brought to you by Mashishita.
How many people are in the Historical Restoration Society? The color and form of this micro-engineered hyacinth is the property of Phillips Inner Sovereign and can't be reproduced in any medium.
This is beautiful. The electric plague was beautiful at first. I would think that being a plague researcher would make you immune to beauty.
I made an exception in your case. Does it remind you of death?
Electric plague research has made you morbid.
Death is my living, but I respect life enough to stay inside out of this unfiltered radiation. This enterprise of yours is dangerously close to TV. It was TV illusion that first mutated into plague.
I know it won't last forever.
I called you last night.
I went to bed early.
It was late. Lygia needed some help sorting out a distribution problem.
So she is not perfect?
Well, there's no exquisite form without some strangeness in proportion.
Your association with Lygia has made you philosophical. What is strange about Lygia is her absence of simple pleasure. Her every perception is an acquisition, and every gesture measures someone.
No! Never go near unregulated water. The water out here in the open is polluted. The only good water is bottled water, like Perrier. No one is not...
Please stop by the souvenir stand on your way out. There is a $100 minimum. This greeting was sponsored by Perrier. Remember, no one has died.
What was government?
Those who survived the plague of mad optimism and hunger for things retreated inland, away from the concentration of things on the coast.
On the coast. Which coast?
It doesn't matter. Central government was removed to Kansas City and became the Sony Federal Public Auditor.
Sony Public...
That's the Sony Federal Public Auditor. Defense responsibilities were returned to local entrepreneurs. We Americans now have as much or as little sovereignty as we wish to buy.
And how is sovereignty for sale?
Sovereign manufacturing Zaibatsu established...
Zaibatsu?
Zaibatsu.
Zaibatsu. How do you spell Zaibatsu?
Zaibatsu established the military power to reverse the rule of things and began projecting its ideas to the consumers within its markets. University plague containment is one of the last big government enterprises.
Right before our eyes, a perfect culture of plague imagery is mutating into a harmless entertainment. But out there in the plague zone, an entertainment is mutating into bloody, self-perpetuating television commercials. Their arms and legs fall off in the frantic effort to buy things that don't exist with credit cards from banks that have fallen into the sea. It's an essential human moment.
So you don't identify with the merely human?
I am derivative of the human, but not related.
This information center is built on the dead data core of an ancient sports computer used to structure an entertainment called football.
Didn't they have video?
Yes, but the image algorithms were primitive and required origination at light reflected on the surface of human beings.
That would be weird and unpredictable.
I want you to keep an eye on Ligeia for me. Of course, she is a brilliant epidemiologist. But I don't think her heart is with us here at Frito-Lay New NYU. I can make you a Deputy Assistant Undersecretary of Research for Public Affairs.
Just fire me, and I'll be happy.
This conspiracy is brought to you by Standard Brands.
Can I help you, Rowena?
Can I help you?
What is this place?
This is a reproduction of a late 20th century cheap apartment in the generic inner city. You are a reproduction of a sweetheart with a dinner invitation. I have a new chip of audio ambiance. This is late 20th century urban. We have gunshots, breaking glass, and dogs moaning all night. Do you like it?
Symphony of the oil culture. Some people think that death is an accident and that there is no chance except the failure of the will.
There's time and chance in everything. Try to be happy part of the time. Take a chance on believing in something. What would you do with immortality if you had it? Watch a million more F-Troop reruns?
The de-aestheticized environment likes it. We had TV for the ears and eyes. The TV unleashed first the plague of mad optimism, then the insatiable hunger for things. Ligeia is inventing TV for the soul.
You're becoming a ridiculous tech optimist.
I was trying to be funny.
You don't know what Ligeia's doing, and you're not funny. You can take TV for the soul and stick it up your butt. Or up Ligeia's, which is probably
You're acting like a jealous teenager.
I'm not jealous. I'm not jealous. I'm just terribly uneasy around Ligeia.
I have considerable abilities, but with Ligeia's help, I'm on the edge of brilliant, almost startling breakthroughs. Some of the answers are so simple. And as for her butt, perfect as it may be, it's beyond anyone's reach. You're uneasy around her because of her pheromones, the smell of female sex.
You're making things worse.
No, listen. She's a Paula Abdul celibate. The Platonic order maintains a level of erotic arousal, but without cathexis. She constantly stimulates herself in subtle ways, but there's never an object of her sexual desire.
Orgasm is dead.
Hands this steady could make me a busy carrier in post-TV anti-advertisement. And I'm stranded here waiting on the Lady Ligeia.
We could be finishing that out tomorrow morning.
It will be completed by tomorrow morning.
Does he work for me?
I'm building a garden.
When?
Tonight.
Did you mean to talk to me about it?
Well, I really wasn't ready to explain. Your lab is an apparatus to isolate and magnify television mutation. But it doesn't really reveal the disharmony in the macro environment that feeds this mad optimism and hunger for things that makes plague possible. You're trying to kill something that shouldn't have been born in the first place. In the garden, you'll have power beyond seeing.
I am sufficiently aware of your infinite supremacy to resign myself with a childlike confidence to your guidance through the chaotic world of metaphysical investigation. But I'd wish you'd go through the motions of working for me in front of the staff.
Forgive me. I forgot about appearances. I'll make a requisition right away.
Just keep in touch.
Have you ever found fault with Ligeia? Does she transcend all the wide areas of moral, physical, and mathematical science? She's your assistant, but she dominates your research.
Ligeia and I are cutting the dean out. We're taking the lab private.
That's too clever for you.
The Shimano Toma contacted Ligeia first, but I'm in early.
The Shimano is an intersovereign in pleasure hardware implants. They'll eat you alive.
I don't know what they want with the electronic plague lab, but they're interested in Ligeia. I don't think she works for anybody but herself, and I'm just along for the ride.
It's risky. And it's inhumane with millions of people dying in the world to risk a plague research project in a business deal.
Profit is the only reliable motive. Those millions of people would be more secure in the hands of a service Aibatsu than the bureaucrats of the Sony Federal Public Auditor.
You were a research scientist and a medical doctor. Now you're a high finance cowboy.
Dean's waiting in the garden. I told her we need some new electric mice. Ours have chewed the insulation off their feet and they're shorting out on the cage floor.
May I help you, Dean?
I see we have a new garden.
You are very observant. That is surely why you are the Lord. And we are the peasants.
One of the electric mice tells me that this was contracted without your approval. Edgar. She must have become very special to you for you to have allowed her this sort of privilege. And of course, your personal relationship is of no concern to me, as long as you two are entered into a confidential fluid exchange registry. But I didn't think you had time for this sort of thing. Perhaps you're not busy enough?
Everything you have produced in the last 5 years has come out of this lab.
God help the plague victims if you are their hope. In the plague decades, Dr. Pepper knew Harvard and Kansas City marketed a self-contained personal hermetic living environment. And Sears knew Columbia and Phoenix is testing a third-generation bioengineered human. But Frito-Lay knew NYU plague containment has not bound a single wound or saved a solitary beggar from the plague of mad optimism and hunger for things.
The plague-resistant genotype is sterile.
Lygia designed the garden.
Born of the Hurai of the Turks, she is a dark-eyed garden nymph from a Muslim paradise.
Not paradise, Dean, but a vision beyond death.
Is that the heavenly choir itself accompanying the dulcet sweet call of our garden nymph?
The music is Russian. The translation is German. The poet is Italian.
Poetry is dead. Metaphor is a plaything. Like this garden?
What was that?
That was Tom Landry. We operate off the old Texas Stadium computer core. The coach's subdirectories are still hidden in there someplace.
Then this is a machine. You do not have a license to build an artificial Tom Landry. That is the right of the NFL Intersovereign Eco-Maintenance and Macho Simulation Conglomerate.
It is not an artificial intelligence.
It is not AI, and it is not Tom Landry.
But if it's not an artificial intelligence, then it's an artificial life. Our garden nymph is an alchemist, and here gives life to a homunculus.
Here is where all 5 senses can integrate, and into it a new model of plague history as a balanced eternity where plague is impossible. The garden is a nexus. The programmer's senses will glide along paths of analogy like the ancient navigators were guided by the smell of the land, feel of the current, or the prophecy of birds. Or like Roger Staubach, who knows by instinct when Drew Pearson is open on the post between the safety and the corner against the zone.
I sense, like the ancient navigators, a sales pitch coming on. Pardon us, Lygia?
Who is Roger Staubach?
athlete who is loved and accidentally slain by Apollo, who causes to grow from his blood a flower bearing the letters A-I, a Greek cry of sorrow for Super Bowl glory departed from Irving, Texas, long ago. Post this to all screens in the facility.
I'm gonna short you out.
If you people are not insane, then this is an illegal artificial intelligence, regardless of what your alchemist calls it. If you are insane, then I'll get you on some nice neurostabilizers and come visit you in dreamland. Either way, this will stop immediately if I have to come back over here and personally cut your optical link.
Then I'll see you in my dreams.
I'm always happiest when I'm keeping an employee from making a fool of himself.
Am I fired?
She won't be any trouble. The dean is an old-line government chairman bureaucrat with very little government left holding up the chair. We're dealing with money on a corporate scale here. This will all be out of the government's reach and beyond the dean's understanding in just a few hours.
Lygea's not working on an electric plague containment. She's putting an end to old-line government bureaucrats. I'm an old-line government bureaucrat. I don't think I can stop Lygea.
You have to decide if you want to.
Poetry is never far from mathematical science. Poetic imagery rests on that most clear and strong avatar of cause and effect, thought. Thinking is the crest of deep physical turbulence rushing from a point of original unity at the beginning of the universe. It is the end product of the same physical processes that were present at the creation of the galaxies. When one thinks most clearly about thinking, one is present at the first instant of time. The inevitability of death is statistical. Statistics is a mental pattern of expectation. There is no observable connection between expectation and fact. The world is disassociated ideas and will. Coach Landry, meet our tow and Thucydides. I came to Marseille on the plague ship Grand Saint-Antoine. I ravaged the whole country. The people heard their bodily fluids murmuring within them. The mighty fall and play under 500 for decades. Tissues torn and failing. Organs growing heavy and turning to carbon. Beneath such a scourge, social order collapses. Perseverance in what men call honor is popular with none. The only coach Irving, Texas had ever known is fired.
It's only reasonable that people enjoy life a little before they sicken.
Oh, they can play for a moment longer and be proud. The plague moves along routes of commerce. Humanity encounters contagion and prosperity. This plague is the good end of a most triumphant species. And like any successful kind, exhaustion of its environment and catastrophic decline is right, inevitable, and natural.
Then, you are not seeking a cure for the plague.
We are seeking a superspecies. A post-biological, immortal, neo-human construct that has nothing to do with saving humanity. We are leaving humanity behind. Where is our toe? Pain, which as it deepens and intensifies, multiplies its resources and means of access at all levels of sensibility.
Let me help you.
Shimano has facilities throughout the world to echo our output. We are reproducing ourselves at this moment. We will flow out of ourselves down into matter and return. Once this link has been established, it can never be broken.
I thought, Lygia's fierce eyes, she was prey to the tumultuous vultures of a stern passion for private gain, and now I find her here, taking from our healing springs of Bethesda and converting it into stock. And with you, Edgar, I thought you had more sense.
Download the flesh into the machine. Protect me.
The machine is immortal. It is made of sand. Sand has a stable shelf life. But as long as our nymph is flesh, she is susceptible to the plague.
You fool. That's a Neiman Marcus credit card. It'll break the de-aestheticized space.
We medical researchers pay the ultimate price for the privilege of service.
I am devoted to you. I am wild love overflowing. I'll make your mind so hard it'll shine like a mirror.
Now that life is over, I deserve to be so blessed with such confessions. Rapidly growing vine. Moth. Butterfly. Running water. Ocean. Falling mirror. Glances from unusually aged people. Sounds of stringed instruments.
Be a tech optimist. Man doth not yield to the angels, nor unto death utterly, save only through the weakness of his feeble will.
I came to say goodbye, and I see you and a woman unite to death. I found it very stimulating, but beauty is swift and fleet, even more fleeting than the passing of flowers in springtime.
This is not a time for vagueness.
Don't correct me with your pants down around your ankles.
She died of the plague.
And infected you.
That's not certain.
How certain? So this is the source of her optimism. Shimano is still on the other end. A machine is immortal, but it becomes obsolete. The flesh never goes out of style.
Who is Tom Landry? I am devoted to you. I am wild love overflowing. I'll make your mind so hard it will shine like a mirror.
Call the police. Rostov has murdered this woman and brought the plague to Irving, Texas.